Aloha, Terry, it was wonderful seeing you. Let's make sure we're in tune. Have a G, D, G, B, and then the D again. A little fine. Fine tune there. There it is. All right, so what we're talking about is what we're learning are chords, we're learning licks, and we're learning melodies. What happens is when we take our chordal structures, like just a, let's say G major, and have G, C, E minor, 2, 3, 4, G major, C major, E minor. So when we have these three chords, what we're trying to do is find the major, this note, which is kind of like what we call a major scale. It's called an Ionian mode. It has a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The intervals are spaced where you have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. So when we learned it in D, the whole idea was to be aware of the openness of open, 2, 4, open, 2, 4, 2, 3. When we move that progression up and we start our first finger on the D string, giving us a D sharp, we would have 1, 3, 5. Skip up to the next string. 1, 3, 5. And then 3, 4. When we keep progressing up along this, using that note, so in here we would have E, it's the bass note for our E minor and our E major. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. So at this point, what I would like to do is just start seeing all of our A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G as being notes which are movable as patterns. Having said that this was our E, I don't expect you to know what an E sharp or the F is if I were to say E sharp, because there is no E sharp. It's an F note. That F is the basis of your F major and your F minor with that lowered median. So what we're doing is we're hearing this F note as being an F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Knowing whether or not this is a B flat or not will come when we start talking about note associations and how to sight read, if you want to. If not, just knowing that that's the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, 1, 2, 3, 4. Knowing that that's a B flat and how to play a B flat chord and a B flat sus at that, or a B flat major, and what notes are actually kind of related, is a major stepping stone. So what we've been doing is associating G major in the first inversion, G major in the second inversion, and then G major at the octave. When we get into chordal structures which use more than just the 1, 3, 5, do, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, sol, 1, 3, 5. When we start using something that has the 1 and or the flat 1, 3, 5, the major or minor, and adds a fourth note, the 7th, we see those notes as being a G major 7. We could also have a G minor 7, which would incorporate using the minor note from that chord structure. Yeah? G minor 7, G major 7. Two completely different chords, same utilization of that 7th note. What we're going to do is we're going to associate what those notes are and where our fingers lie and how to play them. So if we played a C, knowing to play a B would be an alternate way to get a different tone out of that C major, thusly adding a suspended second, suspended fourth, or just using our flat 5s or 6s to make some jazzy tunes. Anywho, the licks we've learned thus far utilize our first finger on the 2nd fret, playing the 5th fret with our 4th finger, the pinky, and then pulling a half step in using our thumb. That 2-note slur is the same thing we're going to be doing when we use that in Cripple Creek. When we hit that 2 that falls open, hammer onto the 2, and then the thumb is going to be going with the hammer onto the 2 to hit both the D string and the G string. Just so happens the note you're hitting is the E and the G. They make a great chord together because the E and the G fit together with the E minor. Okay? I hope that fell into place. If nothing else, you're just doing a hammer-on with that second finger, second fret. This thumb is doing 2 notes at once. The same way we're doing, it's a way to utilize your thumb in 2 fashions. Here's that lick. Also, if you're doing it in a major, it doesn't have to do the bend on the third. Try and do the bend on the second. Does the same effect, but you're allowed to use it in G major, D major, G major, C major has the same effect depending on where you do it, right? So if you do it up here, that would end on your G. Okay, so what we're working on today with Cripple Creek, that thumb roll that you have, which starts on your G string, goes G, G, is a double G lick. The best way to get used to doing that is quite literally, I hope I could get my video to do this, but do my G here and my G here, and just do those. And when we first met, I tried to say something about not coming into the note. Here, let me see if I can move this a little bit more. About not coming into the note like this, but trying to get a thumb motion where you're doing a round circle. This is what enforces that. Boom, 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 boom. It's kind of a roundabout way to get a little bit more circular motion and rhythm just out of your thumb on your right hand. So what I'm trying to influence here is when you're doing this structure, which has your second note here, slides up, you can hit both of these like that. You're looking for that dissonance between that B note and a C note. And when you have that 2 dissonant notes, it's going to give you that. But the resolution you're looking for is a right into the note. Hope that makes sense. Here's what it looks like in its completeness. Hopefully I can play a little bit slower. I'm going to use my 3rd finger to slide from the 2nd fret on the G string to the 3rd fret. At the same time, I'm going to do a pluck up with my index finger. You can omit that whole 1st finger pluck if you got two notes being right there. Because when you hit both of those notes together, there's no way to hit both of them at the same time. You hit one slightly before the other, which gives you that roll kind of feel of. So what this slide in front of the roll is doing is just drawing the ear to hearing do 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 1 2 3 do do do. But you're doing it in a fashion where that 3rd note isn't on the string at the 3rd fret or 4th fret. It's on an open string, the B string being the same note. So it goes 2 3 open down up for that middle finger to hit that high. Then we're going to have our 2 finger on. We're going to pull it off and get both of those notes with the same finger. And in the same motion, you're going to pull down and put your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret and use your thumb to hit both the G string and the D string on that hammer. And then come around with its roll. I hope that makes sense. Check out that measure at the end of the measure. And if the measure has notes going from left to right, chances are it's a slide. So try, not a slide, chances are it's a roll. So try and do that measure over and over and over and over again. It just builds muscle recognition and muscle memory. The one thing you're going to want to make sure you do is that you're using the correct fingering. Nothing worse than using the wrong finger and having to learn it again. I would say to try and pair these 2 fingers together. You're not having an issue with this, but sometimes I'll tape these fingers together. So just these 3 know how to play together. When we have these fingers doing these rolls, it's going to be influenced by doing them every day and then playing different songs which toot your fancy. I know we've only done 2 songs thus far, but each one of these has fundamentals of just getting your fingers and your hands used to correlating and working together. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my phone right here and I'm going to show you on the board, but I'm also going to leave this in the email as well. And I hope that doesn't turn out backwards, which it quite possibly will. So I'm just going to leave a picture of it on our email as well. So what we're looking for is this middle alternating finger roll. What's going to happen is we're going to start that off with using our middle finger to play that high 1 note. Our index finger is going to play the B, and then our thumb is going to be playing the G. We're just going to be alternating those, so we're going to have a middle index, middle thumb. D, B, D, G, 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 and what happens is these two fingers start going bing, ding, 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 ding. And inevitably, once you start speeding them up, you have a choral movement for your left hand to follow along with. Meaning, if I pick 3 different notes, I think an example in session today, we picked maybe the G major, C major, and E minor. Let's throw it a little bit different and pick an F major, D major, and an A major. Let's see how that works. So an F major would have a... That's the F, right? Using that, our next chord was going to be the D major. It's also very beautiful with that G, that fourth, suspended fourth over the top of the D major. You don't have to use that high D. I mean, I know that's the comparison inside there, but you could replace that high G with the D string and hit that open D. Replace that D with a B. D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G. I'm sorry. D sharp, E, F sharp. Yeah, replace it with an F sharp. That's great. So play the D major, and then put that finger down for the F sharp, and you have. You hear how that could resolve to a G. Practice those chords, and the A would have a, with that open G would make that A major just all barred at the 2nd fret. That high G would be its 7th, its dominant 7th, by the way, which gives us a dominant 7. So if you were to practice just those 3 chords, we'd have the F major, feels weird with chords that don't go anywhere, huh? There is no resolution to that. So try with any chords you want. See if you can go through the pattern with that new alternating middle, and see what we come up with for next week. I'm going to do a secondary video which includes the basis for green sleeves, and I will see you next week. Happy holidays. Aloha.